Okay, hello everyone. Do I hear you or not hearing you? There's something strange. No, but my audio is moving. Okay, it's a practice. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, long time no see.
Exactly. Feels so long.
Shall we talk about Bruno?
The
I think
reunion.
it's very important, the meeting with Bruno. Okay.
Yes.
So there are some topics to talk. One will be new now. The other one would be the Guggenheim Museum. Maybe we can start from maybe I'll start like from the Guggenheim. We'll start saying. So I was in Bilbao, arrived 2 days ago, and I remember since I knew that I was going to Bilbao, then I asked two friends around like, hey, what is there in Bilbao or something, and everybody was mentioning the Guggenheim Museum, and I thought, okay, it's a museum, but then I go and I experience this thing, and that was very unique. Like now I understand why everybody was mentioning so much the museum. Um, so I think what is important to mention is that the what it makes very interesting the experience of the museum is that it's not about the artworks, but it's about the people. So, for instance, like their collection, their private collection, I don't think has more than 20 artworks exhibit in a massive square. I think I don't know. It's the museum is huge, but there's no more than 20 artworks to see.
Okay.
So that's incredible because then the way how is the curatorial process that it goes is incredible. Like the whole experience that starts from is part of the is a landmark on the city that you can access from different places. So from outside already is part of the experience, and then you go inside and the way how you navigate the museum, the whole way how the user experience happens. It's just it really takes into account the visitor. So it's not too much about putting a lot of artworks. They might be relevant, but it's about offering a good experience for a grand public, what they will call in French, like a mainstream public.
Mm.
And I was mentioning this, and I have to think on the topic of the workshop, the last chat we have here, when I mentioned that we have this video that I don't know if you have the time to revisit, when we have this chat with Annie.
Right. I didn't watch it.
So then at some point Annie was making the point, she was that in what she's doing nowadays that involves often telematics, then so people from different places communicating through a system like Zoom. Then what she was saying was something like that it will work no matter what you propose if the people feel that you are giving them space. And that was very really it stays on my head, like if the people feel that they are important, she was using those words, if the people feel that they are important, they will give you the attention you want, no matter what you're proposing in terms of content, in terms of a structure. Also, it will be fine if the people feel that they are important, that you take them into account. So where you take the position of being the object of attention, which traditionally is like in that in art, but then you just twist it and you reverse it towards the audience. Then the audience feel that important without the need to put them on the spot, because that's a different thing. And I think that's what I wanted to share. And I connect this with the Guggenheim, was very much like that.
But like, how do they make that like in the Guggenheim?
I mean, one is like, I think it's because there is not too much to see, basically. So if I just compare with my experience going to a museum, then depending on the museum, you know that you should be ready to be tired at some point before you start, especially when they are renowned. I think in Louvre, like something that extreme. So you know there will be long. So you're preparing mentally to be tired by the artworks before you go there. And in this case, already I was with that. I was thinking like, it's gonna be tired. But it's such a pleasure because there are just no more than 20 things to see. Around these lines. I don't know. I mean, might be exaggerating. Could be more or even less. I don't know. But there are just few artworks in a huge museum. So.
But does it mean like there's like empty space or like?
No.
Empty,
they're just. No.
Or is it just? Yeah.
I think it's a combination. So there's a lot of architecture. So there's a lot of movement proposed by the architecture itself that is impressive, but also the artworks often are just huge. It's just one room.
Okay.
One of the rooms is just, so it's very much about experiencing the artwork, which is something that, you know, when you go and see artworks also, normally that's in a way is intrinsic, that you go and you take the time to experience the artwork, because they are, especially when they're masterpieces and all these things, art is not about to solve a problem in a way. There's more like, it's always coming from an experience of a person, the art. So it often requires that you slow down and experience, try through your sense, what is that resonates to you.
Yeah.
But if you have 300 works to watch in 2 hours, you cannot do that, right?
No. Yeah, I'm trying to think like, I mean, I can just like search for images and how it looks like,
but it's not gonna work like that. No,
because like this is funny, because to me, like, you know, the way you say it sounds like in a way they're like really generous about like accommodating the artworks, which makes sense. Like what you said makes sense, you know, like people can take time, and time as well, because if it's not like, you know, things to see and you have to like go back and forth between the artwork and those labels, because if there's like a lot of works, then I feel like you're just like reading those labels all the time. So like in that sense it makes sense, but at the same time, like I could also imagine something like Louvre, where, you know, this Mona Lisa has this like, you know, very pretentious frame and like guards. I don't know if that room is dedicated for Mona Lisa or like there are other artworks, but, you know, like the artwork just stands out too much, that, you know, I don't know how to say, but it's kind of opposite from like you're like highlighting the audience. But it's just like my interpretation.
No, but it makes sense, because in a way it's like in Louvre it's almost like it's just the institution, as I think it really works, this analogy of being the police, just being afraid that the stupid non-artists peasants will just destroy the masterpiece. So fuck off, pay the thing, watch, take the selfie, and move on. Yeah, which is very much. That's the system, no? That's the system. That's the neoliberal system. Is that's what it proposes. It proposes the most efficient way to generate revenue.
Yeah, sure. And just out of curiosity, like how long did you spend in that museum?
I guess we arrived around 10 and we stayed until I would say 4,
Oh, wow.
because it gives you that possibility.
Mm,
So there is, you go watch, you go out. Also, that's really cool. I don't remember in other museums that, but I'm sure it should happen. But you can leave the museum
mm,
and come back.
I
So
see.
they give you a bracelet, so you can just go have a tapas, whatever there is food. You come back in your time, and it's
Mm,
great.
I see. Yeah, I like actually. I This is something I never said in the chat, but because we don't talk about museums, but I like to like visit like same museum again and again. Just, you know, just have like not to see different exhibitions, but like particularly like just visit same exhibition again and again, especially like when I have like access with my student card or something. Um, just you start to like, how to say, not inhabit the space, but it feels like you're inhabiting the space in that sense. Like, you remember like different corners that stands out, or like, or yeah, like once you can just walk through and then not to pay attention to artwork. That also I like to do, especially like Ludwig in Cologne. We visited together, right? The big one in Cologne. Yeah, I visit there like so many times because it's free for art students. So I really like it. It's just so big that you can just walk around, and every time I feel like a different experience, especially compared to like looking at each artwork and paying attention. And there's nowhere else that you can have this kind of like, it feels a bit like, walking in a forest, because you can pay attention to like, each detail, but you can also like just zone out, and just like walk through.
Right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Let's talk about then. What about New Now then? And then now to
Why?
start.
Why am I laughing? Is this public video? Yes. So
Yes, the public.
I have to choose words. No, that sounds really bad, but no, I really, it was a positive experience for sure, and I appreciate that I was somehow treated as a guest. I was really surprised because Yasmin, she's the director of the festival, and we didn't really meet her in the last one.
Oh, I just saw her. She's part of some network of something that I've started doing now.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
and
saw her now. She was the director. I just
right.
now that you mean, yeah, I don't. When we presented you now, I didn't knew.
No, it was, yeah, we didn't have time to talk, but she recognized me that we presented last time, so that was nice, and that gave me access to like several private tours and stuff. And what else? So the festival is it's about digital art. I actually didn't know that they have it. They on the poster they write it's a digital art festival. And this time they had the first day was the opening and performances, and like last time. But then the second day they had the conference. Like the whole day was the conference or symposium, and they did it in a separate space, which was like I think it was a good idea because
Yeah, the
last time
sound
it was at the top floor,
was horrible. Was horrible experience. Yeah,
and you always have to go up all the way to go to the conference.
so. And but in other space was like in Solverein or somewhere else.
Within, yeah, in Solferijn, it's like I don't know, 5 to 10 minute walk from the exhibition space. Yeah, it really feels like I don't really have sense of time in that space, so I can't really say, but maybe it's close to 10 minutes. It's more like a storage, like a big space. And they set up a set for the conference. And but it was like full day, like starting from 10 to like 10 in the evening. Like
Oh wow.
it was fully packed schedule. And I was there
Oh,
only for like, yeah, like first couple, no, like I don't know, I saw like 2 or 3 talks in the morning, and then I checked another like 2 talks in the afternoon because there was also
wow.
like other activities happening. And yeah, that was really like disorienting. Like, I mean, like last time, nobody knows like what is happening. Like there is no program. I mean, there is, but there isn't. So I felt like it was really hard to like navigate if you're not like friends with them. If you just like visit the space without knowing anything, it's really hard. I mean, you can still find the exhibition, but yeah. And this time the topic of the exhibition and conference was like hyper nature. So it's like nature, but like more like speculative
Okay.
approach to it. And they emphasized a lot that the exhibition is like commissioned, like it's like new works that they exhibit. So the artists have to like come up with something new and new now, to have something site specific, basically.
In Solberine.
Yeah, especially in that mixing plant.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I talked with like a few artists there, and Cinzia, she's from Italy, but she's based in Montreal, and we know each other from Montreal. So we were hanging out, and her work, the works I know from her is basically like with projection or like display, and kind of she has like minimalistic geometric approach, like lines and circles, and very like, how to say, I wouldn't say zen, but something very like simple and meditative works. But this time what she did is she made like a garden within the mixing plant. This the floor that is completely dark.
Yeah.
She made it like she put soil and the plants, and in the middle there is like a pond, like little pond, and a huge display standing in front of the back of the pond. But on the screen you don't see anything. But if you look into the pond, you see the sun as a reflection of the display. So basically what she did is like she took out the polarizing filter on the screen. So whatever it's shown on the screen, it's just like pitch white. So
Mm,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
display that has like nothing on it, but
Luma, kind of
because of
Luma approach.
the yeah, like because the water acts as polarizing filter, so the reflection, you can see the image.
Yeah.
Which I found very interesting. Like I think for her it was like probably like the biggest project that she has done, and also like involving architects, no, not architects, like engineers, like how do you say it, like civil engineer, how to say it, like
Right? Yeah, yeah.
basically like, yeah, like working with these like plans, and like, yeah, like plan for this whole set. And yeah, it was very beautiful, like has like her aesthetics, but also like um I wouldn't say like step up, but they, yeah, like this big scale, like using the space. Although, yeah, she was very exhausted after setting up this whole thing. Um, which yeah, I find it's nice, like, New Now Festival providing this kind of opportunity for artists to work on something that's like a good side.
So, but do you know like about the production budget and these things?
I have no idea, but like they had like, I don't know, like 6, 7 months to prepare or something like that. Budget wise, I don't know.
6, 7 months to prepare.
Yeah,
No, I don't think
but
so. I think the open. I know, could be true. Yeah, it could be that the open call was in January.
yeah, that's a tricky thing. Like I know that because when I saw, yeah, I mean, this is okay. I have to find the right words. When I saw the open call, I already knew that Cinzia was like the festival contacted her like last summer. She was already telling me that she's going to be in Germany. So when I saw the open call, I was like, I don't know if what scale this is about. Like because it's not going to be in the main exhibition for sure. Because I know that some artists are already you know starting to work on their works.
Right. Like last year, like last time with chips and chips, chip up,
Like Kimchi and Chips,
yeah,
the new movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is like something I found. Yeah, like yeah, questionable. That, for example, that's one thing, and also like the festival is basically saying that they have, I don't know, like 60 events, 60 or 70 events over like 2 months of the festival, which I feel like it's a little bit like
Bit weird.
weird. Yes, because the festival is basically like 3 days, like this opening conference, and the third day is like workshop, but it's more like targeted to like people directing or organizing festivals. For example, John was there to visit that workshop. It's about like future of festivals or something. So it's very like targeted audience. I mean, basically, the New Now invited like festival directors. For example, like Jarl from Fiber, he was there too. Fiber in Amsterdam, is it?
But
Yeah. And some people from Tech, Montreal, Tech, Mexico. So that was like pretty targeted audience. I mean, the whole festival was like that. It's very like specific crowd that you know. Obviously, they are like funders, like connected with politics, and I didn't really see much like friends like from the region. Like Beseda was there, but she was part of the last festival. She was not part of this edition. She told me she was visiting the festival, but other than that, like Viviana was there because she's working for the festival. But
for
I
what?
don't Vivo
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the academy. Yeah, she was curating some programs, so she was there. But like outside the team, I don't think I met anyone from the region.
Yeah.
No, that's something to think about. I think.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, probably there are some, artists. Also, like there are some schools in Espen, so
Ah,
like people from there visited. But yeah, the audience-wise, I feel it's more like people invited from elsewhere to visit the festival. That was my impression. I'm not saying I know everyone, but
no, no, but no, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, this is part of the problems that I found like in my time working with these mediums that, and also in Germany, that that's one of the problems that Germany has. I mean, that's one of the virtues and problem that Germany has, and in terms of impact, because they don't have because they work by federations. So
Mhm.
I just per region they do efforts, and since the resources are not unlimitless, they start working really on the regions. So say let's put it like more, what I'm trying to say is it's very difficult in general to create networks within digital art because it still is not being seen as something. I think
Mm,
I think we are in a process, like historically speaking, like what video art passed in the 70s, where they fought. I don't know if you know that part of history, but like they fought really strongly for a while, for quite some years. I don't know for how long, but it was for many years that there was things going on, starting from Najupeg, but there and Fluxus, but there was a lot going on, and it took them a while for art, so from fine arts, to accept them as art.
I
So
see.
video art, it fought really hard their space, and now they are something that is not fine art, is video art, which is a subcategory within film. It's experimental films, video art,
Right.
some experimental films. So my appreciation, like from like historically speaking, I think we are in kind of a similar period where art, art and technology, which is something that is not new. I mean, that's the weird thing, because if you really feel, if you try to be more specific, like say you go to the context of dance and technology, it's something that is not new. It
Right.
has a big hype in 2010 around that period, and you can see the numbers, and it just chills at some point. It just until COVID, and now it's ramping up pretty fast.
Mm,
But the weird thing is people are not really checking. I mean, we are still are in the times where we speak about this subject as something new. When you read the papers, and people will always reference as something new, but this is so this is not something new, first, and second is they, because this is something not new, there is a lot of uh, research and things done in the past on this field. So these are resources that are not being used, partially because of the archiving methods and the access to that specific information, that one can argue that's one point. But it's not only that, it's just the people have no, that we don't really care, and just try to start doing new stuff, and those new stuff, and let's make new stuff and new stuff. But there's a lot that has been done,
mm,
very
yeah.
interesting things. You have Mark Downey, you have a lot of people who are really like, at this point, like they are masters in their field. Like we are start working on this, but there are people who now they have a very clear voice about their work, and we don't mention them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so why is it? Yeah, like this regional thing, and yeah.
Is I mean, I guess what I was trying to say with this is like in Germany, you have a great access to resources to create digital artworks that we lack at this point in Belgium. Um, so there is a possibility to create like short-term proposals coming
Mm,
on constantly, but they're going somehow nowhere, because
mm,
there is not really a vision in terms of where is this going.
right. I see. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that can be also like, yeah, like what exactly applies to you now? Like it's it's something significant in some ways, and but then if
Well,
it's just happening there without like involving the local community, for example, then it's just like same guys knowing this thing, like people from Node. Well, I was really funny, like I'm always introducing to people like myself, I'm representative of Node, which is actually true now. And but yeah, like what I want to say is like this new tech Node, what else, who else was there, but basically these like same people are always there and not really like it's just like club, or
Yeah. No, that's I think that's the right word. It's kind of
Mm,
like a, and this is something that's path. That's exactly what happens in path. But
mm,
already there are, and if you see like in my portfolio when you click in path, that was the first thing that Jan wrote. So there is at some point where in the the Jan addresses the fact that it's a place for white elite, and he said it's not in purpose, it just happened. So, but the focus is on work. But he addresses back then that he can see the people who go there often are, it's an elite place to go.
mm,
So it becomes a club where you go and meet your friends in the countryside house, basically,
mm,
to talk about the interesting things that after will affect different people. But the different people have no what to say on this because they are not part of the network. Um, and it's not bringing back the conversation to art, to let's say to you now as an example. It's not that there is no artists, because like there's a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, doing cool stuff around the region. And so I think the problem is in the convergence, or like the cross point between return of investment. That's one. That's why, yeah. So return of investment and curatorial processes, because the festival needs to return investment. The investor needs to feel that something happened, and then
mm.
you make that tangible through selling tickets, or maybe through selling in saying in the website that you did 60 events. Who is going to check the 60? You see what I mean? So like, but this part of like return of investment, like the investors, which is in this case, I don't know, like it will be partly, I guess, big part of the money should come through the tax payers of Essen, of the region. Uh, so it's people who they're not gonna check, like detail by detail how the money was spent, but just they need to see that there's a return of investment. So perhaps they just check the website. Oh wow, yeah, 60 events. Wow, 2 months running. Okay, the money was invested, and so is so I understand that that needs to happen, but then it's more. I think it's about then slowing the process and then taking more into account what are the decisions for to address the return of investment. Uh, so then the processes are not happening so fast.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and also like, for example, they don't know if it's going to happen again. It's like if
That
they frame it as biannual, but like, I mean, every 2 years, but then the next one, it depends if they get money or not, right?
that's crazy. I mean, that make no. I mean, like in a Belgian panorama, like when I was like checking now with the Kunsten Festival das Art, by the way, like this is like to hands up to Daniel, the Kunsten Festival das Art. I was checking a bit of the history, and I just wrote like I was writing some personal emails to him. Like this is something that is it's great in the sense of wait, like because I'm trying to mix two things. So is that in Belgium we don't have this small like these things like they're not happening. Like we don't have this like that's why art and technology things is so new. Is not really passed through filters of science, and I don't know who do these things, but it's not really happening here. Also, the fact that dance is so prominent in Belgium is not helping dance and technology to move because you have massive dance companies who always take the same resources. Um, um, but for instance, I think a Kunsten Festival is a good example. Let me stay here a bit. So I'm living in Belgium since 2010. I moved here as a dancer, right? And then while I was dancing actively, I heard of the Kunsten Festival das Arts. I checked it fast, but it was something that never really called my attention.
Hmm.
It was something that was not attractive to me, like in different ways. I don't know. I, like the Daniel together with two people take started directing the Kunsten Festival around 4 years ago. And the process that has been taking until now, I just see one piece this festival, but I follow up through social media and check what is happening. It's incredible. Like, this is really addressing, it's almost like the festival is addressed to non-white people. It's incredible. Like, it's not the white people cannot attend, that it's not about that, but it's clearly there's really often things for BIPOC communities. There's a lot going on with the local areas where the venues where the things happening. So you have the return of investment because you have like this massive company name still passing, which often is still passed through the curatorial decisions, who are still in line with the main politics that I guess in somehow is addressing this change of perspective to give space to not only white, but just move a bit more spectrum. And it's moved drastically from the moment that it starts, like this year, you see like, wow. But anyway, so again, so you have return of investment because still you bring big companies. You do the traditional thing of the festival that is well known worldwide. I guess partly of this why Jan ended up here. Um, um, so you have this thing that it was what everybody, I guess, worldwide in performing arts, they knew about Kunsten Festival, that it was not interested to me. But then also then, since you have the system working, then you hack the system in a and basically you start just hacking the system in a with care. It's not breaking. What was the name of this? The not hacking, but there was a name when you a name for you have hacking bracking. I think it's bracking. Bracking. Yeah. So it's not about breaking the system, but it's about hacking the system. So just with you just use the framework to allow for other resources to move and allow people who not have the same advantages in terms of privilege to be benefit of what the framework has to offer. And I connecting this, I guess, with this, like what I'm saying with the that's I mean what I'm trying to say is quite complicated. I don't know if I make sense of what I'm saying, because I'm connected with New Now in the sense of New Now is about let me try to what I'm saying is like institutions are bubbles within bubbles, you know, like you have in Germany, you have the NW Rhine RW what Rhine West
North Rhine-Westphalia, so in NRW.
Have Germany, a bubble. Inside of Germany, you have the regions, and inside, until you have to New Now, which is a bubble still. But that bubble might explode now because the bubble might not get money to the next year. So poof, there is not it cannot do this, because if the idea is that the bubble should touch the person who is living in Germany, you need to reach all the way out. So the bubble needs to be continuous. Like the fact, and connected this with the Kunsten Festival, Daniel could not have done this from the first year. It's something that he's been doing systematically, slowly, until this year. I was surprised. I was like, wow, man, you just read and name after name are just non-white artists. And it's not xenophobic. It's like it's not like it's just response to a clear line in the politics that is stretched to a future. Right. And it reaches the person who lives in Brussels. So it reached all the way to the governmental, from the bubble, all the way it reaches out. And that demands continuity, which means money.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Node is like along that line too. I mean, in a way that it's not like they changed something from the beginning, but also it's, you know, like balancing this VDVV community and what, for example, John wants to curate. And that's been like always like, you know, something tricky. I'm not going to. No, that's Jitsi, right?
Fuck Jitsi. Okay, that's what you need. Like that's part of the resource. That's open source community.
open source community fixing things.
Yeah. Okay,
Or
wait,
if
no,
you,
just like jumping in what you're saying with Node, which I think,
yeah,
yeah, I talk with Jan. Yeah.
yeah.
Just but share
So
what you, I think is relevant for the people who are following.
right. So like basically it's like, they have two different interests basically. Like one is this BBB community that is very specific tool. And now they're like moved to Node Institute. They're basically like physically based in Berlin. It's like a studio. Yeah, but basically there's one thing that is VVV community, which they're interested in, like making tools for VVV, create something with VVV. And then on the other hand, for example, like Node 20, there was the online exhibition and the conference, which, oh, by the way, Alex was there too at New Now. He was
Oh,
selling books. Poor Alex, he had to like sit next to the conference all day, looking after the books.
but the books of like Node or the books of what? Oh, New Now.
No, like, well, I don't exactly know where it's from, but for example, like he had the Holo magazine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Could be that.
yeah. So yeah, like Alex and John was, they were curating the program for the conference at Node, and that's like completely separate from VVV, right? I mean, there was like a few programs that was about like sharing community works around VVV, but basically it's more about academic, theoretical topics around digital art. So, but then, like that's like interesting, like tension, not the tension, but like what they, like how they work together and how to, how to say, contribute to each other, basically, because it's is one festival, like together as a program. They have like workshops and VVV workshops, and then on the other hand, they have a conference, and then they have to somehow like, not taking advantage, but like benefit each other
Yeah,
for the festival.
which I think like making an annotation in this, like I think in the case of Node is particularly difficult because the community of Node often is made by developers, so not artists who are interested in say some contextual work, but some of them are developers who just like to deploy things. So
The
that makes it
VVV people.
yeah, the B4 community, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm really curious, like, for example, at Node, like how many people were like interested in taking workshops and then they discovered the conference, or like vice versa, like interested in a conference and then they discovered VVV and started using it or taking workshops. I don't know how this kind of like cross section happens.
Yeah. Well, I discovered before through the conference. I tried to use the software, and I say, "Fuck off! I'm gonna use Touch Designer. Like, not gonna use low-level computing. Fuck off."
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, okay. That's just a technical personal remark.
yeah, no, but I feel like it's like somehow related to this topic that you said about Daniel's festival, because basically you have to use the resource somehow. It can be the resource from the past festivals, and then like try to change something within the festival, or like working with other department in the festival and somehow create a synergy so that it benefits to the program you want to curate.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I also think there is something that we haven't spoke here, we haven't addressed directly, but it is within the lines of what we are speaking. Is that if you're working with technology, you need to be conscious of the impact that you're having on the milieu. So
Mm.
meaning that one of the best practices in a way of working with technology is to reuse material. You need to restart, like, not only for, I mean, it's just this is, it's a fact. I will even argue it's a fact responding to the crisis that we are living. So it will be responsible if you start keeping on, I don't know, say like do the laser moon without being ecologically, for instance, like start. I mean, this is something that artists has to be more confronted, and if artists more, also the institutions and so on, and to promote these kind of best practices. So reusing. I mean, to not use, like, to upcycling.
Yeah, yeah.
Ups- yeah.
Yeah, this is like something I was questioning, like when they said, I mean, for New Now, every artist created new work. And I mean, obviously, like it's not something they started creating something from scratch. Of course, they come from, their practice, and they perhaps, reuse material or upcycle whatever they have. Pretty sure. But then is that a good thing or not? I mean, to have everything new. I mean, I have like some
I mean,
something I want to say conceptually, but yeah.
no, but I will jump in on that point, and if you don't take the, I like to be compromised with this, like, then I will say, then perhaps is, I mean, responding to this ecological crisis, then the new then is not helping, because I guess what we need to, I mean, if they're trying to address that is the new, as understanding a new understanding of the world, new paradigm of the world. I guess that's what they want with the name, but I guess within the community, within the creators, the new is not helping, because I
No.
think we have to understand, not, it's not about understanding conceptually, like it's not about one time discourse. Is something that we need to embody it, like we need to really embody that we have to upcycle resources, especially when we work with electricity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, like, so I talked about this Jinxia's work with the plants, and her partner was also there, Luca. We're also friends. I mean, I know Luca more. And at one point, he was like making this kind of joke that so basically the festival is responsible for watering and putting lights when they're closed so that the plants are alive. But then if they forgot to do it, or if it was not enough and plants start to die, then that also like reflects the festival.
But this
It's
is
like,
something that we, but
yeah.
this is something that we carry out all the time with Sitsa, because we work often with plants. That's that way. By
Mm,
the project we did in Bruges, that was a huge part. Like, who is gonna take care of the, because we have different. There were not few. There were a lot of plants in this massive installation, and
yeah.
there were not. So there were clusters of one pot, a small pot. Like, I don't know, could be more than 50 plants. Um, and I think Seeds has been working on biomods that are specifically like create this symbiosis between e-waste and plants. Um, I think the project is running for more than 10 years. So we have already the leverage on these things, but we still haven't found a way to solve that problem, because it always happens that the plants, I mean, we always have a stock of these plants who we know they work for what we need. So it's ethically really questionable, because what the whole pitch about is about recycling, upcycling, and so on, symbiosis with technology. But then when you really go, I mean, that's what the public sees, no? Like, oh wow, this is so ecological and so on. When you really go in depth of how these things that I'm sure is happening in other festivals, like in you now with this work, then just it's very dirty the way how things still run. the public doesn't know, but often it's just very not ethical in a way, following those lines.
Yeah. I mean, ethical or not, I mean, anyways, it's like this kind of festival is creating something, you know, it's not something that happens in the daily life that, you know, then it needs any aspect of it needs care, you know, because a lot of people gathering, some artworks are there, and that's something that, yeah, they have to put extra effort to accommodate them. I mean, you know, like preparing food, for example, that was also like something stupid that, yeah, I don't want to go into detail, but basically there was not dinner served or even like sold. So, and the
Oh,
second day
there
after
was
the
no
conf,
food. There
I
was no
mean,
food.
there was lunch, there was soup for lunch,
Oh
but I
no.
think there was no dinner. And then like I actually on the second day I went to Pact Solverein to see a show, which was not part of New Now at all. It's just like different program. But I wanted to see this from Mikhail Turinsky, and that's something other topic that there was a lot to talk about this performance. But basically, after the show, people from New Now, I mean, some curators not working for New Now, like invited by New Now, and they were looking for food, and they ended up at Pact Solferein because there's a bar where they serve food.
Yeah,
They came after the show to eat. That's
just
really
to.
funny. Just to eat. Yeah.
But yeah, this is part of like this is. I mean, it's funny, but this is part of actually the care. This is part of the
Yeah.
slow process and thinking on, yeah, not, yeah, like to move the perspective of the, yeah, just to slow down and care of what is happening, not only in deploying, which is the problem of having short-term solutions. In short-term solutions, you need to prove return of investment, and that's not serving food to people.
Right. Yeah. True. That's interesting.
I mean, especially in Solberine, like you're in the middle of nowhere. You can, I mean,
Exactly.
if you have a conference from 10 in the morning till 10 p.m. and you expect, say, in order for like the conference has a very is the most interesting thing from these festivals. I have been following conference nonstop since April, and is there where you hear like about these topics. What we're trying to do here, reflect on how to to make it better somehow. But then, if you expect that, if you invite people, specific people, to attend this, and you want them to be active part of the framework, but you don't offer them food, and you know the only way is if they go far away, and the breaks are half an hour or 10 minutes, 5 minutes in between. It's impossible, and nobody cares about it. It's like they will.
Yeah. And I always like I'm so thankful for John when we were at Node 20. Like there was always food. I mean
There
like
was al-
soup, but
there was food. No, there was always food. It's true.
yeah, yeah,
No, no, no. Just totally true. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean not I'm not comparing. I mean I am comparing, but that I mean those are questions, right? I mean also like yeah, Zollverein is really it's a tricky place. Like some people were staying at this friend's hotel, but most of them were staying near the main station, so they had to commute.
That's not bad. That's not good. Like but the people coming from Toronto, I mean uh,
Montreal.
from, from Montreal, did they stay in
Yeah.
Solverein?
No, I mean, I think my guess is like because Cinzia, for example, she was there for like a week to set up the stuff, so she was put into this hotel in like next to main station or close to main station.
Oh, no.
And
That's right.
Miriam and Yansu were staying at the friend's hotel because they were just there for a performance for one night.
So what is your assumption on this?
So maybe like if you're staying for like a week or like a couple days, then you have to stay at the city in the city, and then if you're staying for like 1 or 2 nights, then maybe you can get friend's hotel. But anyways, that's just like my observation or like
But
assumption.
could be true because, like, if you compare, for instance, 2 years ago when we were staying at the friend's hotel, then Priscilla, for instance, and other people who were working there for a month, they were staying in that hotel with us.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So could be something in terms of budget that
Yeah,
they
I'm
just.
pretty sure. Yeah. But I didn't talk to everyone, so I don't know how it was. But yeah. Yeah, it's a very tricky place.
Thank you, New, now for the opportunity. We really did. Our talk was very interesting. Is there online?
I actually
Uh-huh.
checked the Google Docs, like you remember we shared the Google Docs
Yeah.
during the talk, and I don't know, some people wrote something and I checked it like recently. It's kind of funny. There
Yeah.
was not much in it, but I like that there is like a trace of like I don't remember what we talked, but there is something from the talk.
But I think that's one strategy that I see.
Mm.
It works when frameworks are problematic by nature, say art and sciences. And, um, they need so much resources in terms of time to make something lasting. Um, if there is no resources, like one of the things that work is classical documentation, like ways that trace what happened. So videos like shared notepads, anything that traces the activity, it's really, really important to
Yeah.
analyze since you cannot stay 2 months in a symposium.
Yeah. So anyways, but this time conference, like, I didn't check so much, so I can't say much about it. But it was really funny. Like, there was like one TV next to the stage of the conference. They were like showing like AR-ish, like some kind of like Hydra kind of color filter of like live. It's like live streaming of the stage, but it's just next to the stage that is like saturated image, and sometimes like 3D image comes in, and I don't know who was doing like it's like Vivo kind of aesthetics. I don't know, but yeah, that was I didn't really understand what it was, and but it was kind of funny. They did it because they could, and
Who was you was there doing that? Please comment in the. But maybe we can close here the video and then maybe just we close here the video. Thank you so much for
yes,
watching.
please like the video.
All right.